People of Reddit, what secret are you currently hiding? Story 1. My brother bought chickens as his little organic farm was struggling. I had suggested an honesty box for the excess eggs. He spent hours making his own red barn-shaped honesty box. Eggs went on sale, crickets. Not much business at all. He was so defeated. All of a sudden, once a week someone now calls by and buys all of his stock. Could be 10 to 12 boxes of eggs. That someone is me. I buy the eggs. Story 2. My husband has large feet, large enough that there are only a few places I can buy him shoes, and since the in-person place near me closed down, they're pretty much all online. All this to say, his shoes are $. He also grew up poor. Like the kitchen floor was his bedroom poor. He stopped being able to find his shoe size in stores before he was in high school, and before he met me he always only had one pair of shoes at a time, and sneakers were his everyday/work/dress shoe. He even worked fast food jobs in regular sneakers because he couldn't find non-slip in his size. And because getting each pair was so difficult and costly, he'd often wear his shoes until they had holes in the soles before replacing them. When he was studying to be a mechanic, I got him a pair of steel-toed boots for his birthday. I splurged and got a good brand that would last for years. He recognized the brand and knew what they sold for, and he demanded I return them. He was planning on squeezing into cheaper, smaller boots and dealing with it. So I lied, said I had bought them months before during a sale. Got him at 40% off, then signed up for all their stuff for an additional 20% off. I had paid full price. I've bought him sales shoes several times since then. One time he even cried because I had gotten him a second pair of sneakers well before his old ones needed to be replaced. His shoes kept getting wet from some yard work he was doing, and he'd have no choice but wear wet shoes around. His last pair of work boots showed up with the first pair of sandals he has owned in over 25 years because there was a BOGO sale that I totally made up. I just wanted to get him sandals because we camp a lot, and him using camp showers without sandals always grossed me out, but I had never managed to find a pair in his size until then. Story 3. My GF was feeling very sad about turning 32 the next day, a few years ago. We went to get some wine, and while she was looking at some of the bottles, I asked the cashier if she could card my GF so she would feel better. Legal drinking age for wine is 16 here. She happily obliged, and my GF was so happy, she did not stop talking about it for days. She still brings it up from time to time, 3 years later. Story 4. I told my best friend I won a holiday in a raffle and wanted her to come with me free of charge. We stayed in a nice hostel, did lots of fun activities, and I paid for it all with a prepaid credit card from the raffle. I didn't win anything. I booked it all myself and paid everything for her because she deserved a break, and I knew she couldn't afford it, nor would she have accepted me paying for her. I would do it again 10x over. She deserves the absolute world. Story 5. I have a sweet one. My father is convinced that lilies were my late mother's favorite flower because their wedding venue was filled to the brim with them, and she was supposed to be the one who picked the flowers. He got her lilies for every birthday, anniversary, and whenever she was in the hospital. My mother was in poor health most of her life. When she passed away, the funeral was full of lilies, and he still sometimes puts a vase of lilies beside her urn. The thing is, my mother once confessed to me that lilies weren't her favorite flower. She was fine with them, but she preferred morning glories and sunflowers. My domineering grandmother, however, told her those weren't classy enough for a wedding and hounded her about it until my mom gave in and let her pick lilies. Mom was actually pretty wounded by how dramatic the floral arrangements ended up being. Another big, showy way for her mom to say, "I'm right and you're wrong." When she later voiced this, my grandmother brushed it off with, "Please, no one's going to remember a thing about your wedding." But my dad remembered. He got her lilies every day of their honeymoon, and by the end of the week she'd gone from annoyed to deeply touched. He didn't know the backstory, he just wanted to make her happy, and in doing so he kind of stripped the negative association away from them. She told me she liked that he gave her lilies more than flowers themselves. They turned from a symbol of being ignored to a sign that somebody was thinking of her happiness. She swore me to secrecy, and I'll take it to the grave. R.I.P., Mom. Update: so as many of you have said, this take it to the grave line will mock me forever, because y'all convinced me to tell my dad today. As predicted, it only took a few hours to get a "this you" text from a sibling, and we all quickly conferred and agreed I should call him in the morning. And Dad's first reply? "Oh yeah, I know that. Morning glories were her favorite. They just don't sell bouquets of those, so I'd get her the next best thing." Apparently she always said lilies were her favorite, but she talked about positive memories around morning glories so much that he put two and two together. However, he had no idea that my grandmother chose the wedding flowers and was kinda pissed to find out. Doesn't that just sound like her? He wishes Mom said something, but figures maybe she didn't want to win and still end up thinking about a fight with her mom every time she looked at the flowers. He's touched to hear he made them special for her, but did say she often told him how much she appreciated it, just left out the stuff about the wedding. Interestingly, he thinks Mom actually exaggerated the honeymoon lilies. He's pretty sure he only gave her lilies twice, on the way out and on the way back home. As I said in another post, Dad does not know what Reddit is and does not care to learn, but he thought it was nice that the story made people happy. Then he launched into telling me why I need to get a new car already, and the thread was lost LMAO. Ah, that's good. See, you should send your little stories to the New Yorker or something. People will read them, I keep telling you. My dear old dad, who only vaguely understands what my side hustle is and has adorable faith in both me and the publishing industry as a result. Dad did somehow completely miss that Mom liked sunflowers, to the point that I don't think he actually believes me. Nah, I think you misunderstood. She liked that Van Gogh painting, that's what she meant. The painting of sunflowers, Babwa. That's why. But you can't win 'em all. Story 6. My big secret is I was a middle-class heroin addict for 30 years. I started dating a man I met online recently and haven't told him. The problem is, after shooting dope for all those years, I'm pretty backbeat. I have some horrendous scars that aren't visible until I'm naked. This man is pretty comfortable financially, and I'm afraid if I tell him, I won't be able to convince him I'm not some junky gold digger. I haven't used heroin since 2010, and I've been off methadone since 2017. Story 7. Every day, I fantasize about cashing everything in, leaving, and creating a new life for myself elsewhere, like a complete reinvention. Story 8. I just found out 2 of my direct reports will be fired soon because of the restructuring, and I have to keep it a secret. They are both excellent employees who do not deserve this at all. I've decided I'm handing in my resignation next week after 14 years and no other job lined up. I just can't look these people in the face. I'm not cut out for this corporate bullshit. Story 9. Sometimes I'm grateful that I woke up blind. I was a total workaholic, and going blind was a nightmare that first summer, but the fact I couldn't work in nursing anymore, especially post-COVID, did wonders for my mental health. I also realized how much I love hanging out with my 3 sons. I didn't know how much I loved their company until I wasn't working 50 to 60-hour weeks, mostly third shift, so I hardly ever saw my kids. Being blind sucks, and I feel guilty sometimes for thinking that I prefer it to how things were before, but given the choice, I don't think I'd go back to being sighted, because that would mean the nightmare of working in nursing again and never seeing my husband and my kids. Edit: to answer the most asked questions. I woke up with a disease called AZOR. 131 people have it, and it ate my retinas. And for fuck's sake, y'all, I use a computer. I type with a keyboard and listen with TTS. It ain't rocket surgery. Blind folks use technology, same as y'all, LOL. And if you asked me a question and I didn't answer it, sorry. There were a lot of y'all asking questions, and I did my best to answer as many of y'all that I could. Story 10. The heavy feeling of being lonely. It's not there all the time, it just hits you like an anchor sometimes. Don't have too many friends, mostly because I can be a difficult person to put up with. And it's not like I want too many. Just want some company sometimes. Story 11. That I have prostate cancer. I have told my siblings, and my next-door neighbor who also has it. We compare treatment options and progress. He chose radiation while I am considering surgery, but I feel like I would be garnering for sympathy if I shared it with more people that I know. Edit. This blew up. I wasn't expecting that. Thanks to everyone for your responses, personal stories, and well wishes. My neighbor is 83 and only had the option for radiotherapy or chemo. He chose the radiation. I am 70, and my options are radiation, surgery, and active monitoring through MRI and PSA testing. Doctors all told me that radiation now would render me ineligible for surgery down the road if it comes back. My MRI was PI-RADS4, and a biopsy returned 2 of 12 samples positive for cancer, all contained with the prostate, Gleason score 3+4. I hate the idea of not getting it out and possibly of it spreading to lymph nodes and/or bones. I'll go visit the surgeon tomorrow who has performed greater than 18,000 robotic-assisted radical prostatectomies and has had excellent results and patient reviews. I hate everything about this, and I just want it all to be over with. Story 12. I am a teacher, and I am off for the summer. I get to spend all that time with my daughter, age 4, and my son, who is not quite 1 yet. My wife works full-time. My son is just starting to talk, and my wife and I have a friendly competition going to try to get him to say Dada or Mama first. What she doesn't know is that while she is at work, I spend the day talking about her and saying the word Mama a lot. We have been working on it together for weeks. The other day, she walked in the door after getting home from a long day, and he looked at her and said Mama clear as day. She was so happy and rubbed it in my face, playfully, that he said Mama first. Even did a little happy dance. I'll never tell her. Story 13. I'm too burned out to function as a person outside of work anymore. Yes, I'll text my partner that I got home safe from work, but then I'll sit in the car and doom scroll or dissociate, sometimes up to an hour. I will also do this when I have to run errands. Just giant blocks of time I can't account for, pissed away. I don't want to do this. I don't want to live like this. I don't know how to fix it. Story 14. I'm not colorblind. When I was very young, I didn't understand what colorblindness was. My dad is colorblind, and I thought that automatically meant I was too. And apparently everybody did. I was maybe in high school before I actually took a test, and I aced it. But by then all my friends had been buying colorblind-compatible versions of board games, and we had all sorts of inside jokes about being colorblind. Honestly, it's been a bonding moment with my friends. So I just haven't told them, and I've kept up the ruse. For about 15 years now. Story 15. In 6th grade, I pissed in a bottle of Coca-Cola that had 1/4 of its content remaining. You see, this asshole of a bully often tries to forcefully take my snack during recess, so I handed him that bottle of cola. He did make a comment that it had an awful aftertaste, but nothing too crazy of a reaction. At that moment, I felt like I would burst into laughter, but if I did, he would suspect something was wrong with the cola. I also knew I would be in a world of trouble if the teachers knew I did something horrendous like that. So I kept my mouth shut and walked away. Till this day, I haven't seen him since 6th grade, and I'm currently in my first year of college. Story 16. I am the 7 accounts that donate to my cousin's streams. Little man needs something positive, and it's better if he thinks it's from internet strangers and not a sympathetic cousin. Story 17. Whenever I look at my significant other, I feel immensely grateful. Before we met, I just went through the most traumatic time of my life. When he asked me out, I agreed. Little did he know I planned to kill myself that same day, but I hold it off for one experience, because I thought he was a nice person. The date came, it was so weird, like I found a soulmate. We talked for the whole time and it just felt so close, so comfortable, like I've known him many lifetimes before this. There was this burning feeling that I cannot let this go, I cannot rob myself of this chance to have happiness. When I got home, I threw away the things I prepared to take my life. Now, I wake up next to him every day and feel so lucky to be alive. He's so kind, so great, and we love each other very deeply. Since then, he has given me the strength to turn things around. I faced my traumas, graduated, found a job. He introduced me to his friends and family. We will go to his home country next year to meet his parents. I thought my trust issues were too deep to ever heal, but I now trust him 100%, and it feels so great to be able to trust like that again. He doesn't know, but if I didn't meet him I would probably be 6 feet under by now. I own this life to him. Story 18. My depression has improved greatly thanks to Spravato, and my suicidal idealizations are gone. However, if I did not have my dogs and wife I would not stick around. It's not even depression, it's just that life is not really enjoyable to me and has not been the 44 years I have been on this planet. I am just not impressed. Story 19. I can't tell if I'm in love with my partner or if I'm just comfortable or if I'm just incapable of letting myself relax and be happy. Story 20. My best friend constantly uses me as an outlet for her anger and frustration, and it's giving me anxiety and depression when I'm around her. I don't know when I might say/do something that's gonna make her explode. Story 21. I've started to on occasion accidentally, but on purpose, not hang up my phone correctly when getting off a call with my daughter-in-law. I then proceed to talk to my husband about how much I enjoy talking to her, how lovely I think she is, how glad I am that our son chose her, and whatever other boost I may think she needs. She doesn't have any family that uplifts her, just the kind that tears her down. I started doing this after my son told me about his wife coming to him in full-on snot tears, because I had once but dialed her while talking to my husband about her. She stayed on the line to hear what I really thought of her, expecting the worst because that's been her experience of family. Apparently she was quite touched by the things I said, and my son told me it gave her a confidence boost that lasted weeks. So I do it more often now. Neither of them have any idea I do it on purpose, though. They just think I'm getting old and worse at managing my tech. Story 22. I am so content and happy with my life, kids, wife, job, health, right now that I feel guilt. I rarely share my contentment with people, other than my wife, of it. It's not that I'm like fabulously posh, or don't have issues or whatever, I'm just sincerely content in my security and modest comforts. I feel like you can't simply acknowledge that your life is perfect without drawing the ire of someone else. Story 23. My ex-wife got hooked on mainlining opioids and got our son placed in foster care. After rescuing him from foster care by myself and raising him by myself for the past 7 years, she got sober and started to actively try to take custody from me. This culminated in her getting my son to say I slapped him once, I didn't, to a cop, and me getting charged and convicted of a serious felony that prevents me from ever seeing my little boy again. Some mornings my hands just refuse to work. It takes everything I can do to get them to unclench. I've been on the verge of taking my life since it happened, and some days it seems a lot more likely I'll end up doing it. The only reason I haven't is I know the only person it will truly hurt is my son. Story 24. Mine is a good news one. About 2 years ago, I got diagnosed with thyroid cancer and had surgery to remove my thyroid. Luckily, it's all gone really well, and so far so good. It was quite large mass, 5 centimeters x 5 centimeters x 5 centimeters. With our mortgage, we got mortgage protection insurance, and one of the things we spent extra on is heightened cover if one of us is sick. Well, my cancer was serious enough that after a year of getting reports sent to the insurance company, it's triggered the serious illness benefit clause in the insurance, with the effect of covering our entire mortgage. So we are mid-30s with no mortgage after only 5 years. We have told just our parents and siblings, but we aren't telling anyone else. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe to Basic Spoon for more daily Reddit content.